Guys, welcome back to my third part of my Oura ring review. I've had a bunch of requests of people asking me on how my kind of initial problems have gone with my ring and did I get them resolved and how was the after service, so I thought I'd mention those comments and go through those kind of points with you today on this video. Now, a few things to mention. I've had a number of people comment on my last video saying you don't know what you're talking about, the ring's amazing, I haven't had any problems, you know, just various kind of, well, stupid comments really, because this is my review on my experience with my ring, and obviously people have different experiences, and I imagine some people go, oh, it's fantastic, it's the best thing ever, and some people may have similar problems to me. Now, I'm part of a coaching group and part of my bulletproof coaching that I do, and all of us have actually got these rings, and at least 50% have had battery problems. So it's not just me. I just wanted to just mention that this is just my opinion, this is my experience. I've got nothing against the Oura ring. I think it's a brilliant piece of tech and I really like using it, but I want to be honest with you guys, and I have to be honest as being Mark's Honest Reviews, because I want to tell you my experience. And everyone has different experiences with technology. Some people have good, some people have bad, but I want to give you my honest opinion. So just wanted to just explain that at the beginning. I said, because I've had so many people saying, you know, that theirs has been amazing and, you know, I've misunderstood the ring and what it does. I haven't misunderstood it at all. I know exactly what it's about. I know it's about recovery more than, you know, exercising and showing how well you're exercising, but you have to be able to incorporate those things into the technology, otherwise the technology fails. And so part of their measurements and part of the way that the reading works on the Oura ring is by inputting your exercise routine. So we'll go into that a little bit later on. I'm going to go, actually this time round, I'm actually going to show you the app in a lot of detail. So I'll go through all the data that I've gathered. And initially, if you remember on my ring, I had a problem with the battery. This is a brand new ring. So after I posted that video, I actually did mention it within the comments on that video. I contacted Oura and I basically said to them, you know, I was having an issue with the ring, it wasn't holding its charge for more than a day, and they were very, very good in their response. And I know they're extremely busy, but they responded within a week. I think I got a response, and within 2 months I had a brand new ring sent out to me, and this ring has had 0 battery problems. So touch wood, it's been fantastic. It's worked really, really well. The battery has lasted for almost a week, depending on how much I exercise wearing the ring. And yeah, it's had no problems whatsoever. In regards to the actual ring itself, I have got a couple of scratches on this now. It may be hard for you to see, but let me see if my phone focuses. So if you remember, this is the matte black ring that I've got, and it's hard to see, but there's a very, very fine scratches on that ring. So this ring's been worn now for over 7 or 8 months. I don't wear it when I'm doing weight training. I only wear it when I'm doing cardio. So it hasn't ever kind of been touching any weights or anything like that. And it's just got scratches just from wearing it when I'm driving, you know, washing up, all those kind of things. So it does scratch. They're not really bad scratches, and it actually, other than the fact that it's got these minor scratches which you can't really see unless you actually look at it very, very close up. But they're the only kind of damage that I've had on the ring. Going back to the actual software, what is very, very good about Oura is that they have very regular updates. So you get software updates. So you'll get firmware updates that actually updates the ring itself, which you place back on the charger, and you have it on your ring, or have it on your hand, and it'll update the firmware on the ring. But you get very good regular updates on the actual software itself and the application. So they're constantly monitoring what looks like people's comments on how the ring works and how the application works. And they're a very good company in regards to updating and listening to what the customers are saying. The main issue I mentioned, if you remember back to my second video, was about monitoring your exercise and actually inputting your exercise. Now for me, that still hasn't changed, and it's something I've just got used to, but I don't think the way that you input how you exercise is very, very accurate. And I don't know how that affects the measurements, because if you imagine that if you're doing something like 10-15 minutes of, let's say, high intensity exercise, and then you're doing 10 to 15 minutes of jogging or walking or running, obviously that's going to affect your central nervous system, and it's going to affect your HRV. That's my personal experience from the literature I've read. And just bearing that in mind, I studied also with the HeartMath Institute, so I'm a HeartMath coach, and that's how I got into HRV, because I started using HeartMath on a daily basis. If you go back in my videos, you'll see stuff about HeartMath anyway. So the reason I got interested in Oura is because of the HRV capabilities of the ring, and the fact that it's all designed around recovery and measuring your sleep. So I'm always kind of a little bit skeptical on when you're inputting measurements about your exercise, but they're not put in an accurate way. So I mentioned on the application before that, for example, if you say that you're going to go for a run, it says if the intensity of the run is kind of moderate or hard, but that is also very subjective to the individual, because depending on your fitness level will depend on where that kind of goes in that line, whether something's hard for you or not, or easy. And also things like high intensity workouts, there isn't anything really where you can input that. It has a list of different areas which I'll show in a moment, but it doesn't contain something for like HIIT exercises, or maybe CrossFit or calisthenics, or all these different types of bodyweight training. So I couldn't tell you whether that's going to have a huge problem on the recordings or the readouts of this, but I imagine it would do from the readings from the research I've done. I think that would have quite a significant impact on your overall HRV reading in taking into account your sleep and your recovery. So that's those points. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the camera and I'm going to go onto the app so you can see the app, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about the app itself. This is the Oura application, and commonly what I do first thing in the morning is when I wake up, I access my app and I look for my redness score. So I'm just going to go through a bunch of things that you can see on the screen. It's got a lot of information, a lot of detail, so I'll try my best to cover as much as I can. So initially you'll see this redness score, and that's showing 92. Now this is for the day before yesterday, because I actually didn't have my ring charged the last couple of days, so I've missed out some data, but this should give you an idea of what you see. So you'll see a redness score, and it gives you a little comment about that particular score, and maybe gives you an idea of how well you're recovering as well. And the readiness score, they generally say anything above 80 to 85 is good, and you've recovered really well, so you're probably ready to push yourself. Anything below that, I generally take it a little easier on my training days, okay? So top right hand corner, you can see a little icon of the ring, and this goes red when the battery needs charging. If I just click on it now, you will see that it comes up with saying the ring is connected, and you can also give the option to put it into airplane mode, so that will switch off the Bluetooth connectivity. When it is in that mode, by the way, it can still collect data from you, so don't have to worry about the fact if you're on a flight or anything else, it'll still pick up all the information that it needs to. Swipe over to the right, it gives you information about the ring. Obviously this is a stealth ring, and it gives you the firmware update, the build, etc. And that's that. If I go back to the main screen. So on the readiness screen, just below that, you can see information about your sleep. So it gives me a detailed information of 8 hours, 59 minutes of how long I slept. And again, it gives you an individual score for your sleep. Just below that, you've got your activity goals. So it tells you that my expected activity was 500 calories to burn. I only did 162 calories. Now, that depends on whether I was wearing my ring when I was exercising or not, or whether I logged it, which goes back to my initial problem that I told you about before, about having to accurately input your activity. Just below that, it gives you information about your activities if you've logged any, and I didn't do any in that particular day. So each of these panels you can drill down into to give you more information. So if I just touch readiness, you can see that it tells me that I'm feeling refreshed. It gives you a little bit more information about, over the past few days, how well my score has improved. So that's usually a good sign of, you've actually recovered well. Go back, scroll down, go into sleep, same thing again. Gives you information about your sleep. And it tells you kind of during the night how well you're in awake, when you're in REM sleep, when you're in deep sleep, light sleep. Gives you lots of information in there, which is very useful. And also this information can be emailed as well. If you need to email that information across, you can share that. Going back, you then got your activities. If you click on that, it will tell you kind of how active you've been over the past few days. And it's obviously telling me at the moment that I can push myself because I'm well recovered and I haven't been very active over the past few days. Okay, so they're kind of the main screens. And then what you've got along the bottom is some further detail for those particular areas. So you can go into readiness. Again, it will show you your readiness score for over the past a few days, and it tells you, for example, my heart rate variability there. I can go into that and I'll show you a bit more information. And I can also look at that from my HRV from a weekly perspective. I can even look at it from a monthly perspective. And this is quite a nice view because you can see over a period of time how well your heart rate variability is adjusted according to work stress, life stress, etc. And you can see here, back in August, I had a very, very high HRV, and that corresponds to the fact that I went on holiday, I was probably relaxed, probably wasn't training as much, so I had very good recovery. So again, very, very useful to track that detailed information. Then you've got body temperature, and you've got other information such as, if I go down here, you can see things like your resting heart rate, you can see your HRV balance, your recovery index. There's loads of detail that you can look into and go into each of these things in much more detail if you need to. So then you've got, it kind of shows you your heart pattern here as well. So that's readiness. Click on sleep. Again, same thing. So it gives you lots of information about your sleep, total sleep, your score, your deep sleep, and again, gives you charts corresponding to that information as well. Okay. So if I click on any of these charts, again, I can go, okay, well, that's how it was daily. I can look at it weekly, and I can look at it monthly. And again, you can track all that information as well. So it's really, really useful stuff. And then the final thing is activity. So this will show you all the information about how active you've been. So I can see over a period of time, again, how active I've been, how many calories I've burnt on those particular days. And again, very, very similar information, but specifically for activity. If I just go back to the home screen, back down here, you can see there's a little plus symbol. So if you are going to do some sort of activity and you're not wearing the ring, or you need to input some information about the activity that you've just done, you can click on the plus sign and you can then add a particular activity. Now, I'm trying to add an activity on a day that's already passed. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go to today's date. And then I'm going to try and click on activity, and then you can see here I've got the option to add different activities. So I can add a workout, or I can take a moment. Now, take a moment is an option that they've added fairly recently, which incorporates almost active meditation into the app as well, which is really, really good. So it's got a bunch of different exercises in here that will allow you to do either a mindful meditation, an unguided meditation session. You can do restful breathing, calming sounds, check your body status, and this uses obviously the technology in the ring. Sorry, it's not the camera there. It uses the technology in the ring to actually monitor your HRV kind of on the fly, basically. So it monitors things that are happening within your body using these different apps, and they are actually very, very good apps. I don't use them all the time as I'm quite used to meditating anyway, but they're quite good that you can click on these kind of mindful meditations, and then you can set the duration, and you can set the kind of sounds that you might want to listen to during that, or you can have an unguided session where there's no music at all, but you can set it for how long you want to do that for, and that can be really good as well. So that's what Take a Moment is, and that's quite a recent update to this app. And then if you click on the plus again, you then get an option to add a workout. Click on add a workout, and this is where you get a whole list of different workouts that you can then add. So these are my recent workouts. I've got cycling, cross training, strength training, boxing and running, but then you've got all workout types like badminton, baseball, boxing, climbing, cycling, golf, etc. There's all sorts of things in there, and this is where it's kind of makes it a bit tricky when you are trying to add a workout. So let's just say you did a workout this morning. Maybe it was at 10 o'clock, you did a workout, and it consisted of some running, it consisted of some cardio, it consisted of some strength training, and it consisted of some high intensity stuff. Well, that's where it becomes difficult to actually add this to the app, because what category do you add that under? So you could add, for example, strength training as part of it, but if you go to strength training, it allows you to choose the time, the duration, the intensity, and then it gives you examples of what these intensities mean. So it says easy is light exercise, light weights, moderate is intermediate exercise, medium weights, and hard is vigorous exercise, heavy weights. And this is where I find this a bit of a struggle, because my exercise usually consists of a combination of all these things, and it's how accurately you're actually inputting this information and what does moderate actually really mean. And you're kind of thinking, well, did I train moderately today, or did I do heavy lifting? Because sometimes you might do some really heavy deadlifts, but then you might do some light kind of, bicep curls or something. And so that's where this becomes a bit tricky, and I'm not too entirely sure how accurate this information was, which is what I mentioned on my previous video. And that's pretty much it, guys. So it's very, very straightforward to use. The app is very, very intuitive once you get used to kind of where everything is. And I said it's got regular updates. At the moment, you can notice here, if I just zoom in, just so you can hopefully see that a bit better. But there's a kind of at the moment we're having the COVID-19 issue. Unfortunately, that's been a problem, so they've mentioned this in the app and they're doing some sort of study. You can also see that I'm due for a firmware update as well, so I told you about these regular updates that they have. So yeah, it's constantly looking for updates. So guys, there you go. I hope you found looking at the app very interesting and giving you a bit more of an idea of what you get when you're using the Oura Ring. As I said, I think it's a fantastic piece of kit. I've got nothing against the Oura Ring. I'm using it all the time, and I regularly use that information to help me work out what I'm going to do for the day, whether I'm going to push myself or whether I'm going to relax. And for me personally, I've always had an issue with relaxing, but with something like the Oura Ring, if you do struggle with just taking it easy time to time, I think it's helpful or handy to have that kind of information, so you can look at the data and go, actually, you know what, I think it's going to be better for me to look after myself, to do a bit of recovery. Now I'm going to be 41 this year, and that is becoming more and more important for me, because I find that when I do push myself, it's taking longer for my body to recover. And that's evident in the data, because as I said, I've used HRV as a reading for a long time via HeartMath, and when you do the HeartMath program, it also gives you a HRV reading. So I think it's a great piece of tech if for someone that struggles to relax. I think it's something that's going to keep you accountable, and it's going to help you with your training and also help you perform better when you do train. If you have lots of nice recovery time, this is going to help you when you do push yourself, you're going to perform that little bit better. So overall, I think it's a great device. I still recommend it. I think it's a brilliant thing to buy. I said Oura as a company look like they're growing, and they've got some really good things that they're planning in the future. Now I've got another review on a product called the Vegas watch, which I've recently purchased, which will be my next review, and that looks into detail using ECG and some other tech to actually look at the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is the kind of major nerve that controls lots of the organs, and it's one of the kind of major areas of research in regards to controlling your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. And you found when you've got good vagal tone, you can calm your body down, and it leads to kind of health and longevity. So it's going to be an interesting video, guys. Follow me up for that and watch that in the next video. If you find this video useful, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments on your kind of experience with the Oura Ring, and subscribe to my channel, as I'm always doing content on health and well-being. I would be interested in hearing from people that use the Whoop band. I think that's how I pronounce it, Whoop, which is a activity band that goes across your ring. It also measures HRV, and it also is something that you can wear all the time. So anyone that's got that, please put it in the comments below on your thoughts. I'm thinking about getting one potentially, and actually comparing the data with Oura as well. It is a subscription service with that, so I might have to look into that. But let me know your comments. If you've got any questions at all, or anything you want to know more about my kind of interest in the ring or my feelings, let me know, and I'll put a link below to the actual ring if you're interested in looking at the Oura website and getting more information. Catch you soon, guys.